Hi guys, welcome to my video. So today I thought we would just have a very casual chit chat about doing honours in psychology. I know that it's that time of year where some people might be waiting for third round offers, other people might be enrolled but thinking like, oh my gosh, like what do I expect? How is this going to go? It is a very big time. You have just finished your 3-year degree, which by the way, congratulations, that's absolutely massive. And now you're going into the next step of your psychology pathway. I thought this video would be really good to just share my experiences. I concluded the Bachelor of Psychological Science last year. At the end of the video, I'm going to actually tell you my grades, how I performed. Stick around to the end to find out how I did. I did honours because I want to become a psychologist. I really enjoyed my 3-year undergraduate degree and I was really excited to finally move into 4th year where it was 100% going to be about psychology. Now, interestingly enough, going into honours, I wasn't interested as much in research and statistics. I think most of us aren't into that as much as wanting to do applied psychology. But leaving honours, I actually was like, I could do a PhD, and I ended up saying to my supervisor, you know, I might come back, you might see me again for a PhD, because I had a positive experience. My supervisor, I would work with them again to do a PhD without a doubt. So, you know, don't think that you can't do anything, don't close off doors. Never in a million years would I have even considered doing a PhD. But I did learn a lot of skills during my honours year, and that's a door now that has potentially been opened for me. Whether or not I do it is a different story, but it's there and that's an opportunity I can take. Okay, so given that we're heading towards February, I'm going to assume most people watching this video have already selected, have already accepted an honours offer. So if you would like me to make a video discussing how to choose an offer for honours, just let me know in the comments below and I can make a dedicated video on that. So the first thing is that honours is very independent. 4th year is, you know, you're working on this thesis, which makes up half of your final grade. Well, at the university I went to anyway. So you're working on this thing throughout the full year, but there's not necessarily any strict guidelines. And I mean, this can change depending on who your supervisor is. But for example, you know, you might have like 3 months to work on, you know, a literature review for your thesis, but there's not any said date for like, oh, handing in a proofread of that to your supervisor. You have to be really on top of your work. You have to make sure you're putting in, you know, oh, when should I start researching for my literature review? Maybe the university and your supervisor will offer guidance around this, but you yourself have to be very motivated and just be self-aware of, you know, your timelines when you should be doing things. You know, I know my supervisor had a rule where they required your final copy for proofreading at least 2 weeks before the deadline that the assignment was actually due. And that was really helpful. So then in my head, I was like, okay, if he has a 2-week deadline prior to the submission date, I'm gonna try and get it in 3 weeks earlier, right? So I was trying to be really proactive and allow my supervisor even more time to read my work so that in the meantime, you know, I would have extra time if he got it back to me earlier to then implement any changes or advice that he had for me. So that is sort of what I'm talking about in terms of you are more independent. But don't let that scare you. I think it's a terrific opportunity. You know, I left high school after year 7, so I was a little bit more independent. I have more of an independent mindset because I didn't go through high school having teachers be like, you need to hand this in at this time and whatnot. I went into the workforce and I got more of like, oh, okay, so like this is my to-do list and I got to get it all done by this time. I'll work it out. So I was far removed from relying on teachers for things, and I think this is a terrific opportunity for that band-aid to be ripped off if you do feel a bit stuck with needing other people to stand over you and tell you when to do things. And don't forget, this is your project, it's your thesis. That's super exciting. So you are going to be motivated anyway, hopefully through the passion for what you're doing, to be on top of it and to, you know, be proactive. So definitely do not look at the independence part of it as a negative. It is really exciting. And even at the start of the year, if it takes some time to get used to, I'm pretty confident that you will be able to become independent throughout the year. And that's a terrific skill to take away. Okay, so I think the other thing with honors that I found is that you do definitely have to be motivated. So as a whole year, it's pretty intense. Not as intense as I think everybody built it up to be. I think there is just more pressure there to, you know, get good grades, for example. Like, I think everything is 100% doable in the time given to you. People tend to make honors, I guess, sound like, oh, you have all this stuff that you got to do and you've got to pack it into this 1 year and there's just not enough time and and that could be some people's experiences. But for me, I found that, you know, just like I said, being proactive, there definitely was enough time. I mean, it kind of goes pretty quick the year, but again, half of your coursework is your thesis, which in itself will have main deadlines. For example, you know, I know that I think I had in March a conference that I needed to present at, so that was the first deadline to work towards. Then there was the ethics checklist, that was the second deadline. Then you get wider deadlines where it's like, okay, your literature review is due in 3 months and then your final thesis is due right at the end of the year, and that's where you have to be a bit more independent with how you time manage. But you do have those checkpoints along the way which guide you and you keep up with them. And then you have the other 50%, which is just regular subjects, and those are normal. Those just have, you know, you have this assignment due at this date. So I found it very doable and manageable, but I will flag, I did not work during honors. To me, honors, if you're doing it full time, it is a full-time job. That's how I treated it. If you do need to work while studying to support yourself, I would highly, highly recommend doing honors part-time. Otherwise, at best, maybe don't try to work more than 2 days a week. Like, that is my honest opinion. I am in awe of people who did work a lot and do honors. I'm just not sure how that paid off grade-wise, because that is a lot to juggle and a lot to balance. I did volunteering work though during the year, so that was to gain more experience to get into masters, and I can talk about that in another video as well. So I did volunteering and I studied, and that was how I spent the year, and I think it paid off. I think I had a very good amount of time to study, to focus on my thesis, and then to take, you know, self-care breaks so that I didn't go absolutely crazy. But I won't lie, with honors, it is a little bit hard to contain your timetable between, like, you know, like the working hours of the day, because you do become a little bit obsessed with the thesis and wanting to work on it and wanting to improve it and wanting to edit it. And that's probably where your mental health does start to dwindle a little bit and you become a bit too invested. So I would say overall, honors is manageable. You do need to be more independent, and that's probably what you should expect. As long as you are responsible with your time, you will be okay. You will survive. And I had a lot of other students actually say to me, oh, I actually found this year manageable, but going into it, everybody spoke about it as if it was just almost impossible to get through. So I think an important part of my honors year was being able to talk with fellow students. I know that the cohort had set up an online group chat that can have pros and cons to it. For the most part, I didn't really partake in the chat because people can be quite negative. If you have a bunch of people complaining about coursework, assignments, grades, etc., it can get into your own head. And then on the flip side, you know, if people are gloating, you can also then become quite, you know, competitive, and your self-esteem can sort of suffer a little bit, and you get into a competitive mindset. I prefer to ignore all of that and just focus on myself and my own journey. I'm competing against myself. If I get a good grade, I like to just compete to get a better grade next time. There's really no point paying attention to what other people are doing. And in these group chats, half the time you actually do notice a lot of false information getting passed around. And, you know, you don't want to do that. Imagine you're doing something right and then another student says, oh no, it's supposed to be done like this. You're screwed if you take their advice. So you just got to be really careful when dealing with all that. But honors is really cool because you're working on individual projects. So I guess, you know, you feel more like colleagues as opposed to just like co-students. It's cool to talk to other people and see where they're at with their project. And that's also another interesting point. In honors, everyone is actually, they could all be at different parts. So some people might be working on their ethics application and someone else might already be starting their experiment, and it's okay. So you can't really even use other students as a way to be like, oh no, am I behind? Or so it's cool because everyone's working on different stuff. You get to talk about all your different projects, And again, it's just that independence thing. It's like you're a bunch of scientific co-workers, you're just doing your own research. When it comes to like going from day one of honors to submitting a thesis, and I'm sure this is the same at every university, my subjects were actually designed to correspond with things that you were doing in your thesis. For example, we had research methods. The research methods was there to sort of give us a refresher of statistics we had already done, as well as teach us new skills. And this was put in place to aid us for when we got up to statistics in our own experiments. So that was handy. And then we had like an ethics class, and then that helped us understand more behind the ethics and the professional issues that could arise with our thesis. So, you know, they're teaching you the skills as you go along, and I thought that was really well set out. So yeah, it's the number one mistake you can make is going into anything on day one and thinking, oh my God, like I don't know it. That's the point. You don't know it because you're going to learn as you go along. I mean, I still sit here and a bit of me is like, did I really write a thesis? Like, it's crazy to me. But you have to do it one day at a time, you know, not like sitting here, yeah, I couldn't imagine writing another thesis even, but if I had to, you just take one step at a time and you learn, and that is the point of university. So who would I recommend doing honors? If you are interested in research, I would recommend doing honors. If you want to become a psychologist, you have no choice. Like, you literally have to do honors. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really sure. I think some people do honors and then they, you know, that gives them the ability to become like a research assistant. Those are the main reasons I know for doing honors and who I would recommend them for. Other than that, I don't know if it would be that handy, but I'm coming at it from the perspective of, obviously I'm going through to become a psychologist, so I knew that I needed to complete honors. I genuinely ended up enjoying it so much more than I thought I would. Like, at the end of the year, I was actually sad, okay? I was sad because I was gonna miss out on my weekly lab meetings with my supervisor. I was sad because the relationships that I had made with fellow students and staff, I was like, oh my God, like, I'm not gonna see them as much anymore, and that's quite crap. It was just a fun year and got a lot of good memories out of it, and I think that I'll always look back at honors as a fond time. Would I repeat honors? I wouldn't, because I've already done it, so I've already like put in the blood, sweat and tears. And I think another thing to remember is that honors is hard, it is difficult, and a lot of people do get burnt out during the year. And there was a little part of me that was like, is honors designed to sort of weed out the people who are deadly serious about becoming psychologists and people who aren't? Because it is hard. It takes a lot of mental effort, and I don't mean hard in the respect, like I said, of, oh, I can't get everything done in the year. I just mean that you really do have to apply yourself, and you have to use a lot of mental energy to stay focused on the same thesis for a very long portion of time, which is something we're not used to, right? Like, we didn't do that in our 3-year degree. So I think don't reject honors on the basis that it is hard and it does come with negative emotions, because negative emotions are a part of life. You know, if we didn't do things because, you know, oh my God, like it made me sad, I cried, there were tears during my honors year. There were tears at the beginning of honors because I had to read some materials sent to me by my supervisor, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to do this, these reports are way too hard, I don't understand them. By the end of the year, I understood them and they were not that hard. I just had to pace myself, accept I don't know everything, and that I was going to acquire knowledge. But yeah, nothing's easy. Nothing's easy. And if it was easy, everyone would be becoming a psychologist, and that's the truth. So if you really want to be a psychologist, I genuinely believe that that will come through in your honors year and keep you going. Just try to get out of your head. Try to be in the moment and enjoy honors, because even when it gets stressful, it's still fun. And I think that you might blink and the year is over and it is done and you've handed in your thesis, and then you're already on to the next chapter of your life. So just try to be in the moment, as hard as that may sound. And I want to really clarify that I am a student who puts in a lot of time. I put in a lot of energy. My grades do not come to me easily. I don't always get the grades that I want. So don't even watch this video and be like, oh, you only had a good time because, you know, you got the grades that you wanted. I didn't always get the grades that I wanted, but I just had to keep moving forward and keep pushing, and I knew what I wanted. At the beginning of the year, I finished my 3-year undergraduate degree with distinction. So I was like, oh, I want to finish honors with a H1, a first class honors. But I was in the defeatist mood, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get it. It's not going to be possible. I'm not going to do it. But like, I genuinely believed that. I know some people, they say that, and I feel like they know they're going to do good, but I genuinely did believe that. But now I will reveal how I performed this year. I did graduate with a first class honors, and I actually received the highest grade out of my entire cohort for my literature review, which when I got that email, I absolutely cried, because literature review was something I had put so much work and effort into. It was insane. Literature reviews are quite hard to write, and this was 4,000 word literature review. Wow, you know, I cried. So believe me, hard work, effort, and dedication pays off, because that was not an easy assignment to do. I definitely worked for every percentage of that grade that I got. So I ended up, I'm just looking over, so I ended up getting a first class honors in every single subject. And I got a 85% overall for my entire honors thesis subject. So that was the thesis, the literature review, and the conference that I had to present at. And my worst, the class that I thought was going to be my worst, which was ethics, I actually ended up getting a 92% in. So again, do not shoot yourself down before you've actually completed anything. Overall, my overall course WAM was 86%, which is very, very good. Now, I wanted to leave my grades to the end because I did academically have a very successful year, but I didn't want you to hear that at the beginning of the video and think, oh, she just does things and it's easy for her because, well, in order to get grades like that, you have to be super smart and blah, blah. And I'm gonna say, like, I am smart, but I'm smart in terms of like how I apply myself and thinking about things and being proactive and putting in effort. And that's the only way, like, it's very rare to get someone who can pull grades like that but doesn't have to put in effort. Like, they're considered prodigies, I guess, but I really did work for every single grade that I got, and I went through the crying and the anxieties and pushing myself and the lows. Like, my poor friggin' mother was, you know, always, no, Brooke, you can do it, like, keep going, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't want you to hear the grades at the beginning and have that skew. I really did think honors, you know, I remember at the start of the year, I was like, I don't want to tell anyone I'm in honors because it might be so hard, and if I can't do it, that's a bit embarrassing, you know, like all that negative self-talk that we all go through as human beings. Yeah, and then just worrying about, how does this university grade, you know, what does my supervisor think of me, what do my teachers think of me, all of that. Like, I went through all of that. I think many human beings go through the same negative self-talk, self-evaluation type crap. So I just want to be very, very clear that I really do believe I had a successful year because I prioritized honors. I remained focused. I would always just say, like, Brooke, why are you doing this? So yeah, I went through all that too, but I do think that just keep going and just remind yourself why you're there, and accept that stuff's hard. Things are hard. No one gets where they are because it was I mean, someone did somewhere, I'm sure, but most people don't get to their professions because, oh yes, this is just cool, I'll just have a cup of tea, eat some cake. Yeah, like, I won't put any effort in, I'm not going to work on anything. Oh, I know that straight away. Oh, I don't need to learn that. No, that is not usually how it goes. So I'm going to wrap the video up here, but if you have any particular questions about honors, please ask them below, and I'll do another video where I do like a Q&A if there's enough interest. But I just wanted to share that, and it was fun to actually, you know, go over honors and talk about it. And I do like talking about this stuff because it's so crazy to sit here and think that I am done. I'm still waiting for my testament to arrive in the mail. Very excited for when that occurs. But yeah, let me know below where you're going to be doing honors, what you're excited about, what you're worried about, and I'll be looking forward to reading and keeping up with your journeys. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button if you enjoyed this, and I'll be making more videos diving into like psychology master interviews and all of that good stuff that we all want to know about. Okay, bye.